This is Mr. Bistro from RSBandB Informer, and today's topic is the RuneScape's Wilderness. On August 13th, 2001, RuneScape's Wilderness was released. Its fantastic success became embedded into the game's culture, spurring massive clan wars and glorious player killing. To me, this update was unique in that every combat situation was new and dangerous. This was something that bossing and Slayer just simply couldn't come close to. December 10th, 2007. The Wilderness was gone, replaced by Bounty Hunter and Clan Wars. Though still located in the Wilderness, it changed the way player killing felt, and it would never feel the same again. When the Wilderness finally returned on the 1st of February 2011, a little over 4 years had gone by, and with it, 4 years of new content that differentiated the game from its past self. Even still, this was not the point of no return. When the evolution of combat came out towards the end of 2012, many people did not like it. Though many improvements had been made and many different versions of combat had been released to help people learn and grow to the new combat style. It didn't pick up well for PKers though. Today, a player can look into the Wilderness and see an empty battlefield where once epic fights happened throughout the day. I personally love the modern form of combat that Jagex gave to us. They continue to fine-tune it for better performance, and it feels much more interactive than it ever would have before the release. Before I go on though, I want to say that EOC is not the only reason PKing is dead. PvP in RuneScape is a completely different animal in the game than it was 8 years ago. With high-level weapons and vast gaps in combat skill, there has never been such a large wound to the PvP community. Many of the players from the past have long since left, and the newer players with the keep all and lose none mentality, and it just doesn't fit the PvP puzzle. The biggest issue with the Wilderness is that it was gone and remains gone for far too long. The question for fixing the Wilderness becomes more of a question of how to get players to risk their hard work. Ideas are being brought forward on the RuneScape's forums daily. I'm going to pick a few of the most common ideas and explain why they would or wouldn't work. Number 1. Add high-level resources into the Wilderness. This idea would not work because the Wilderness would not exclusively have these items anymore. So many high-level options for gear exist outside the Wilderness, like player-owned ports gear or boss drops from God Wars and Cowfight King. Even if the teams from the Wilderness were exclusive and high-leveled, why would I risk my own items to get items that are of equal or lesser value? Even if the items were at par with high-level gear, the only people out in the Wilderness would be high-level skillers obtaining the gear with no other items with them. The correct approach would be more along the lines of getting boosts, like portents or scrimshaws and auras that we see all the time being added to the game. And they can be used outside the Wilderness, but inside the Wilderness would have a higher buff. The boosts would be tradable and degradable, giving players a reason to return and collect these items no matter their level. This could be done by killing mobs and doing divination quite similar to the way we see the Elf City's divination work, where you kill creatures and use that energy on the pools. The idea of having people stuck to the actual crater where the divination energy goes would work quite similar to blisterwood trees, where once you leave, if the energy was not converted into portents, it would actually be destroyed. Number 2. Add bosses to the Wilderness. This idea would actually work if the boss's items that it dropped were untradeable and degradable. The reason for this is because that the items being gained from the player or group should never be the goal of the PKer. The goal of the PKer should be to get the gear from the group that is bossing. There's so many other things that also need to be considered for this fix, like how would people be able to boss and handle PKing at the same time? There should have to be a secondary barrier that lasts during the kill and fades over the duration of the boss kill. I think this would be a good idea, but not a full fix. The Wilderness needs more than one fix to make it work, and the items that are to be coveted in the Wilderness should be the ones that you get from killing players. The combat needs to be simplified and the variables reduced so players can get into learning how to PK. The way it works today doesn't offer a player a chance to learn. The matches happen so quickly that no one has a chance to learn how to use their skills and their abilities against a different player instead of a monster. In conclusion, there's no one way to fix the wilderness, but there are ways to fix it, and it should be understood that it would be a large undertaking. No idea is a bad idea when the content is already broken. Any help on the issue leads us all closer to having a revamped and glorious wilderness endgame once again. I want to take this time to ask you what your opinions are on the RuneScape wilderness situation. What would you do to fix it? What do you think of my ideas? Comment or post on the RSBandB forum. I'm Mr. Bistro of RSBandB Informer. Happy gaming.